Hello everyone, meteorologist Jeff Banton alongside someone you probably already know, meteorologist Bill Korbel.
Jeff, everybody, how you doing? Why am I here, you may wonder.
Why are you here?
You probably know why.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do a little interview. We want to pick your brain. You've got years and years of experience and probably a lot of stories around here that not everybody knows, and
and that not everybody should know, by the way.
Well, let's get it started here, because I do have a lot of questions for you.
Okay.
So first of all, you're a native New Yorker, right?
Yes.
Where did you grow up?
I was born in College Point, grew up in first 10 years in Flushing, then moved to East Meadow. So really, I grew up in East Meadow.
Okay. So you've been in Nassau County ever since.
There was a gap when I was in the Air Force, and initially after the Air Force, I lived in New Jersey.
Okay.
Which is fine.
Across the river.
Oh yeah, the Garden State.
So far west.
And yeah, I remember living there, and no one would come visit because it was so far away with all those bridges to cross.
Right. And so it's funny. Well, us Long Islanders, you say, oh, I'm moving out west. Well, where's west? No, New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Anything west of the Hudson is west. So we're going to talk about the Air Force in just a second, but let's talk about your education. Where did you go to high school, and then?
East Meadow.
East Meadow. All right.
College was NYU. Back in the day when NYU had a very good meteorology department.
Right, because they don't anymore.
They don't anymore, but once upon a time it was, I was lucky to get into it.
It's tough to get into, I would imagine.
Yeah, and this was they had a campus up in the Bronx,
in
University Heights.
Look at that.
At the time. So it was like a real college campus. It wasn't like downtown New York in the Village. So that's where I went to college.
Did you spend a lot of time in the city? Did you go visit Manhattan a lot? When
No, not really. It was take the subway up to the Bronx and back. I was staying with my grandmother in Queens. We lived in East Meadow, but I would take the subway up and back every day.
Okay, cool. And so you studied weather. I would have to imagine that you had something when you were a kid or when you were in high school that maybe piqued your interests.
Was there one thing? I don't know. But growing up in College Point for a while, right on the bay across from the river, right across from the airport rather, led me to get interested in a couple of things, watching the weather and watching airplanes. But it was then, we had a boat. My father had sailed all his life, and he'd look up and say, those clouds are starting to develop, we may have to get, and so it kind of got something going. And I can remember even at age maybe 7 or 8, I'd draw a weather map. I watched TV and I'd draw a weather map, copying what they drew on TV. So that kind of got it going. I guess also there were a lot of hurricanes when I was a kid.
Right.
And it was like an annual event, getting a hurricane either hit or come right by the island back in the 50s and 60s.
So before you began your TV career, this is a big one, you dabbled in radio. Tell us about that.
I did. After the Air Force, I was working for a private weather company in New Jersey. They had a lot of private aviation clients, including Playboy people. We gave forecasts for it was a DC-9 painted black with a big bunny on the tail. We were their forecasters. Never got to ride on it. But so I was doing that, and a friend of mine who I'd been in the Air Force with, they lived in Manhattan, said, they're looking for somebody at WCBS Radio. Just the right time. He said, you've given thousands of briefings, you have a good voice, why don't you go over there?
You do have a good voice.
I did, and lo and behold, right off the street they hired me to do weekends and weekday fill-in and stuff like that. So totally unexpected.
So you started CBS, and then you also worked at WOR?
WOR was the big one. I was CBS for 4 or 5 years, I guess, kind of bounce around different places. Then they hired the WOR meteorologist to be their full-time guy. So I said, let me call WOR. I called them, and they hired me. And I was over there with John Gambling, John A. and John R. for 17 years.
That was the famous Rambling with Gambling,
Rambling with Gambling. At the time, #1 show in New York, and I was thrilled and amazed to be part of something like that.
Okay, so let's back it up now. We talked about college, we talked about radio, and then smack in the middle of that was your time in the Air Force.
Yeah, I was in ROTC in college, Air Force ROTC, so I got commissioned as a second lieutenant the same day I graduated, and spent 5.5 years on active duty, and first station was upstate New York in Rome, New York, where I learned about lake effect snow.
There you go.
And how quickly that can move in, much to the chagrin of some of the pilots who I gave briefings to. I remember one, they came in and dropped a piece of ice that had to be maybe I'm exaggerating now. It looked like it weighed 5 pounds. It had broken off the tail of the airplane. I said, there's your light icing. So I also learned that there's a lot of ice in the clouds up near the Great Lakes.
Yeah, that can be very dangerous. Very dangerous, icing, aircraft icing.
So that was at Griffiths. Then I went over to Thailand for a year, supporting a 8th TAC fighter wing that was operating in Vietnam. We operated out of Thailand. And then came back to Andrews Air Force Base down in DC and got to forecast for the big shots. So yeah, it was a great way to learn weather, and you got thrown right into it. And I got to sample tropical weather, and I got to sample snowy weather. And
how long were you in Thailand for?
1 year tour.
Did you see any? Did you get any tropical weather down there?
Just the usual thunderstorms.
Typhoons.
No, they never made it into Thailand's inland, so they would have to cross Vietnam.
Okay.
But we had the only real good weather radar in Southeast in Thailand there, so we could cover a big. I can remember seeing stuff off of the Vietnam coast, but that was mainly so you could steer the planes in the right spot to refuel and things. So it was interesting.
So you were in the ROTC in high school. I would imagine living close to the airport kind of got you interested in aviation.
Initially, it was LaGuardia. Then I grew up in East Meadow, which was right near what used to be Mitchell Air Force Base.
Mitchell Field, right?
Mitchell Field,
yeah. Wow,
so I was watching the planes coming every day, and so I got interested in aviation. I always loved pilots, flying, and if I could have seen better, I probably would have gone for aviation in the Air Force. But I picked it up afterwards.
Well, that's my next point, but did you do any flying as a kid? Did you go on any trips with family that involved air flight? And
my first airline flight was probably after college.
Wow. Okay.
I got a ride in a small plane once with my uncle. He took me down to Flushing Airport, which was still there across from LaGuardia many years ago, much to the chagrin of my parents. I think my mother would have killed him if she knew. And he got some of us to take us for a little 15-minute ride, so I was hooked. And then in ROTC, I got to fly a little bit. The first time, sit up in front of a plane and operate the controls, so it was pretty cool.
If you follow Bill on Facebook, and if you don't, you should go do it, because I'm sure we're still going to be getting interesting
posts
we'll do
from you
more
down,
of that.
Yeah, I'll do more of that now.
It's a great.
I love taking pictures of Long Island.
You've posted some good ones I can remember, but you probably know that Bill is a pilot. So how long have you been flying?
Off and on for 50 years, pretty much.
Wow.
Since I was a kid, it came and went. For a long time, I had a boat, not a plane. But and now I found 3 other fellows.
Kill for one of those.
There are four of us who share the operation expense of an airplane, and I just enjoy it, going places.
A lot of folks do that because it's expensive.
It is, and you want to use an airplane. I didn't have the time to do it, but it's just so nice. Like a weekend ago, went out to Block Island, just to have dinner. It's 30 minutes away.
That's the coolest part of flying. I went up. We did that. I did that with a friend. We went to Lincoln Park.
Lincoln Park,
not like
New Jersey.
The band, Lincoln Park in New Jersey.
Yes.
And there's a cool little
restaurant
eatery right on the runway. You just go. You drive. We were able to drive up the South Shore, right up Manhattan, see the skyline.
Yes, you can do that trip up the Hudson.
Yeah.
And I enjoy the skill of operating a very technical machine, a complicated machine in a very technically complicated environment, and trying to master that, and just the sense of what you see, and just great. So if you like it, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you have no idea why I like it.
Right. So you had the weather knowledge.
Yeah.
You had the broadcast experience with the radio now. So tell us how you came to be the face of the franchise. You became the face of News 12 Weather after
Again,
a while.
one of these weird things. When I was at WOR, we needed somebody to fill in for me on vacation. I had all kinds of different people fill in. And one of them was Joe Chaffee, who was the morning weather guy here.
He was the first, right?
He was the first one in the morning. And Joe would fill in for me over there. He said, we need some fill-in people here. Why don't you try, so I made a god-awful tape, which I would not show you. I could talk about
it. I'm trying to pull
You're
some
not going to
clips.
find it. You're not going to find that one. I got that locked away. But I had no idea how to work with this stuff. I could just talk about the weather. But I did a couple of fill-in days for half a year. The WR thing ended just when I started filling in here. And then there was a full-time opening when they started News 12 Connecticut. So Pat Dolan said, "You want to work in Connecticut?" I said, "Sure, I'll do it." He said, "And if something opens up here, I'll bring you back." So I worked up there for a year and a half or so, and then
did you move or did you commute?
No, I commuted. Got to do that, and then I've been here all those years since.
Well, it's been quite a ride.
No kidding.
So, what weather events do you remember the most here?
Well, I want to say that they've all kind of melted together into one big blob in my mind. But the one I remember the most is the one I wasn't here for.
Sandy.
Sandy. My wife and I went on a cruise, and initially the forecasts were for it to stay offshore. So my thought was, this is going to impact us getting out of Florida.
Right.
But down there, all of a sudden we saw the forecast change, and I was not a happy camper following what happened, because A, you want to be part of it here because you know what everybody's going through, and B, your house is up here. Everything is up here. You wonder what's going to happen to it.
Right.
So that's the one I remember most.
We have team coverage of this supersized storm. Let's start first with senior meteorologist Bill Korbel outside our studio. Bill.
Yep, here we are, and it's not quite done yet, as you can see, but we are in the final stages of this storm that I guess down the line will be called the Blizzard of '03.
Blizzards, I remember sleeping downstairs in the office on my my little inflatable mattress.
Yeah.
Did that. One night it deflated. That wasn't so good. Been here for some trouble. I guess it was before Sandy, the storm the year before. I remember sleeping in there for that storm. And you know, in general, every winter storm of consequence, I was here. Not home, but here. So now I get a chance to look out the window and let you guys worry about the weather. I'll just look at it and say, oh, isn't that pretty? And what's also great, now I'll be able to second guess them. I'll be looking at it and say, whoa, really, huh? Okay, we shall see. And but there are no ramifications for being wrong. See, on air, when we do it here, what you say is out there, and if you're wrong, you're really wrong. If you just say it to yourself, nobody knows.
Right. Well, hey, we'll still beat ourselves up.
Oh, I know.
We'll beat ourselves up until you know, the very end.
Yeah, people don't realize it. We take this stuff seriously. We want to succeed, and weather is something that will invariably throw you a curve. And no matter how often you succeed, there will be times when you won't. They are fewer and far between now.
Oh yeah.
Than they used to be. The big events, you know, coming up, but that's what's made it so interesting as a career. Every day is different.
There you go. Do you remember the funniest moment that you had on air? Just something where you like it happened and it was just so organic and funny that all you could do was laugh it off.
Well, there are a bunch. One, I was outside doing the outside report, and I'm playing with the microphone beforehand. And then they said, okay, come, and I see myself appear, and I pick it up, and it's upside down. And then the part you're supposed to talk to is down here. So the director says, you better turn the microphone over. Oh, is it better this way?
There you go.
But the best one is on YouTube, and I'm sure you're going to show the video.
Oh yeah. You know what? Let's pause it right here. Take a look.
Let's take a look at the forecast right now. Bill Korbel's over at the weather map. Bill?
I am indeed. Take a look at Hurricane Erica, and there it is. We've looking back over about a day and a half. You can see it's now moving nicely up to the north and east. Bermuda's up in here, so it's going to pass well east of Bermuda. Why that turn? Take a look at something else. This is our water vapor loop here. Oh, this is interesting. I have my car key, my car door opener, instead of my... That is very funny. I just opened the car. Well, anyway, there's Eric out there. There it is, moving there. This dry air here is the front that came through last Thursday. Hope nobody steals the car while I've been pressing buttons. Maybe this opens up car doors, too. I don't know. Meanwhile, let's take a look at local satellite radar. Still some clouds around, some scattered showers, but it should stay just mostly cloudy and cool tonight, 61 to 65 degrees. Oh, this is a good one, isn't it? All right. Tomorrow, as you head to school or work, wherever you're going, it's going to be kind of cloudy. Sun will pop out, 71 to 76 degrees. They won't stop laughing. I'm leaving. Here's the extended forecast.
It speaks for itself, Bill. Now go get in your car, drive home. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. On a lighter note.
Can't make it up.
No, and the tough part was Colleen McVeigh with her, laughing through I was just starting to compose myself, and then she'd start laughing again.
Oh, it's contagious,
And I could not stop with that. Now, this is a long time ago this is the first time I had a remote opener for my car. It just opened the doors, and it was exactly the same size as the stupid little remote we had, and it was also black.
That was the first thing I thought. I was like, I wasn't sure when, because my first car, it didn't have a key fob. It didn't have that remote. It was just all manual, key.
This was just for the door, and it was funny.
That was good. I was the first time I saw it.
So I will live in infamy on YouTube with that one.
Yeah. All right. So we know you're a pilot in your spare time. What else do you like to do?
I like to play golf. and I should be able to do a little bit more of that. Do more around the house, outside the house, maybe. I just let it go to pot the last couple of years, but you know, make sure the grass is green, the bushes are trimmed, and travel, a little bit of travel, like going into the city and you know, museums and shows and things like that.
What do you love most about Long Island? I mean, there's so many things to love.
It is. The it's familiarity, first of all. The variety of the island. You go from the west end, even western Nassau, to the east end. It's two different states. You're going from the city to, you know, it could be the Midwest. You know, so you look at the fields. It could be New England if you look at the water. Yeah. So that's kind of neat. I enjoy the water. I enjoy the oceans. We're on the ocean side. I'm on the ocean side. And the proximity to New York City is a plus. The proximity to big airports. So if you travel, you can just take a half-hour drive and go anywhere in the world you want. You don't have to go to a small airport, to a bigger airport, to a bigger airport to go where you're going. And this is where my friends are. This is where all of you people are, you know, and this is where I will be staying. Yeah.
What has it meant to you to be able to bring a forecast almost every night during the week to those people, and, you know, be able to just live where you do the forecast and see these people on the street every day?
Well, that's been a very humbling part of this whole thing, because over the years, maybe the first 15 years, once in a while somebody recognized me. The last 10 years, last 5 years especially to now, I guess if you're in somebody's home long enough, you insinuate yourselves into their consciousness. But I'm humbled by the response I got on Facebook when I put that little note down that, like Kenny Rogers, it was time to fold them and walk away, that I got so many thousands of responses, and it just shows that, A, I was able to appeal to people in some way. There's a trust involved, become someone they enjoyed watching, someone they trusted, and that I was able to pass along valuable information and sometimes make them laugh when I did silly things. But I really appreciate everybody, and you know, I'll still be around, so you know, you see me on the street, say hi, and I ain't going anywhere. The storm is sped up. It has weakened a bit. Still, you can see there are some very strong winds around, and no doubt some more damage to come, but fortunately it has weakened a lot. Let's take a look at what's happening. I never considered myself a TV person. I was just me talking about the weather. Maybe that's what kind of made me a little different than some people you see around there. You know, I'm just Bill Korbel. Here's the weather, and you know, hope you have a great day. And that was the idea. It's going to rain later today, and you know, have a good one.
Well, Bill, thanks so much for sitting down
and
filling a lot of people in on, you know, the man behind the weather, you know, and what an exciting life you have outside.
Very nice. I appreciate it.